Alright, let's do this. Feed the viewers. Look, I say the Nintendo Switch 2 is not powerful than the Xbox One X. You know, I see all these videos. They keep talking about PS4. But there is a console that beat the PS4 CPU wise, GPU wise, RAM wise. And that's the Xbox One X. So when I see people comparing the Steam Deck, comparing the Nintendo Switch to the PS4, they're forgetting something. The Xbox One X beat the PS4, all three models. PS4 Pro, PS4 Slim, and the first PS4. So I don't think the Nintendo Switch 2 is more powerful than Xbox One X. I don't think so. And you heard me say it first. But that's just me though. But anyway, what I got for you. Oh, by the way, hello viewers. Another beautiful day. Hope your five senses work. Health and strength is good or excellent. What? Alright, what I got for you guys. For you Nintendo fans. So you're getting Civilization 7 now. Alright. Let's see here. Nintendo Switch has enough power to deliver mid-tier PC visuals. Civ developer says. Civilization 7 developer at Firaxis are apparently impressed with the Switch 2 capabilities, saying it can deliver visuals befit of a mid-tier PC. Yeah. You know what? There was an article on PC Games In, and I think it was the developers of I think it was the developers of No Man's Sky. They were still impressed with what the Xbox One X can do. And I'm gonna say this: I don't think the Switch 2 is better than the Xbox One X. It might be better than the PS4, but that Xbox One X is no pushover by any means. That's me saying it. But anyway, let me keep going here. Says here, the Switch 2 new upgrade chipset has excited developers who seek to squeeze more performance out of their games. Says here, you know that's a digital foundry term though. Just saying. Anyway, says here, with the Tegra X1 and 4 gigs of RAM, the Switch 1 was pretty outdated at launch. Pretty outdated, huh? Yeah. So we already know. So we know the Steam Deck really won the war between the Switch. Between the Switch and the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck really won that war. Just saying. If it was outdated at launch. Just saying. Anyway, says here, and deliver lower end performance in modern games. Developers often had to make considerable trade-offs to get their games running on the Switch, often dropping both resolution and frame rates to get stable mobile performance. Says the Switch 2 changes all of that. It's capable of delivering 4K at 60 FPS gaming when hooked up to a TV. Yeah, but the Xbox One X can do 4K at 4K gaming to a TV. I'm just saying. I don't think the Switch 2 is more powerful than the Xbox One X. You heard me say it though. But anyway, it says here in a 1080p 120 FPS gaming with on the go, the Switch 2 new custom onboard NVIDIA Tegra chip can deliver 10x the graphics performance of the original Switch. And the simulation master over at Firaxis have some similar stellar praise for the next gen machine. It says here in a recent interview with Steven Tortillo, GameFile publication Firaxis executive producer Dennis Shirk said the team was extremely happy with the console new power boost, and that the Switch 2 can deliver mid-tier PC level of visual, at least in Civilization. We're able to make Civ 7 look like a mid-tier PC because it got enough power, Shirk said at a Switch 2 hands-on event. Civ 7 upgrade won't be free though. Nintendo has given publishers the option to charge for next-gen Switch 2 versions. Says of previous release games, publishers and developers are predictably taking advantage of the opportunity. Firaxis will sell a Nintendo Switch 2 edition of Civ 7. If you already own Civ on the Switch 1, you can just buy the Switch 2 edition upgrade. Apart from the visuals, Civ 7 will also take advantage of the Switch 2 new mouse mode for its Joy-Con controllers. It says we're releasing a Nintendo Switch 2 edition of Sid Meier's Civilization. In Civ 7, you'll establish an empire and guide your people throughout the ages of history. With the new mouse control, players can enjoy a more intuitive gameplay experience. Civ 7 launched on the same day as the Switch 2, and if you already own the Switch 2 version, you can experience mouse control on the Switch 2 by purchasing the upgrade. There's a video here. I will leave the link in the description box. And this article is from Tweaktown. What's up, Tweaktown? Alright. But look, though. My statement still stands, though. I don't think the Switch 2 is more powerful than the Xbox One X. Remember, the Xbox One X already has 12 gigs of RAM in it, you know. It does have teraflops. It can do 4K gaming. I don't think the Switch is on the Xbox One X level. But that's just me saying that, though. But besides that, I'm sitting here joking, though. But look, the Switch 2, okay. Civilization 7, alright. Final Fantasy 7 Remake, okay, alright. Mario Kart, oh yeah. I got issues with you Mario Kart players across the world. Just saying, whatever country you in, I got a score to settle with y'all on the tracks. All that stopping in the middle of the road with the turtle shells, yeah, I got something for that. We got straight issues on the tracks. But anyway, sitting here joking. Look, Switch 2, okay. So Nintendo trying to step their game up on. But you know the Steam Deck 2 is gonna run circle around the Switch 2. I'm just saying. The Steam Deck 2 is gonna be a problem when it comes out. Period. And the statement will still remain. We couldn't find a game the Steam Deck 2 couldn't run. Just saying. But anyway, let's see it play. But look though, the Switch 2 is getting some games here. What I find funny about it is getting Civilization 7. Makes me wonder if you could run Civilization 7 on the One X. Just saying. If the developers of I think it was the Outer Worlds. I was gonna say No Man's Sky. I think the Outer Worlds. It's either the Outer Worlds or No Man's Sky. They were impressed with the One X. But you know, so if the Switch can handle Civilization 7, then what about the Xbox One X? Just saying. But I'm sitting here messing around here. But look, Nintendo, the Switch is getting Final Fantasy 7 Remake. Okay, Cyberpunk, and now Civilization 7, Street Fighter 6. Okay. Yeah, well, the same people who bought the Switch 1 are gonna buy the Switch 2. But the tariffs is the gatekeeper now. You gotta pay. You gotta pay to play, you know. You want that Switch 2 experience? You gotta pay to play. I'm just saying, you gotta pay to play. So yeah, the Switch 2 is gonna sell out though. It's gonna whatever the shipment Nintendo shipped. It's gone already. So yeah, it's already gone. The developers of Civilization 7 giving the Switch praise, but that's cool and all. But me personally, I still want to see the CPU and GPU speed of the Switch. You know, I want to see the RAM, the CPU, and GPU. I want to see all that. You know, so yeah, I mean, to me, DLSS is overrated. But that's just me saying that. I'm joking. Look, you could talk DLSS all day, but what good is DLSS if your CPU and GPU and RAM is not up for the task? Just saying, you know. So we'll see. I still want to know what the CPU and GPU speed is of the Switch. But other than that, man, the Switch is looking. It's getting some games already. I find it funny that the Switch is getting Final Fantasy 7 Remake before Xbox. Still find it weird, man. But anyway, but maybe it's a Japan thing. Yeah, something like that. kind of something like that. Maybe it's a Japan thing. Take care of home base first before America gets it. Just saying. But other than that, man, yeah, Civilization 7 is coming to the Switch, man. Yeah, so the Switch one is obsolete. Is out now. The article talks about the Switch one was outdated. So with that statement alone, man, with that statement alone, it means that the Switch 2 is going to sell out quick. A lot of people that are playing on the Switch 1 are going to put that to the side quick for the Switch 2. They can't wait to get their hands on it. So yeah. So whatever the shipment number is, Nintendo has already. That shipment is gone. It's sold out. Gone. Yeah. You know. You know, the Nintendo fans are waiting. You know, waiting. There was an article too on let me see if I can pull it up here. There was an article too on eTechnics. eTechnics had an article here. Let's see if I can get this. Say what's up. Say what's up to eTechnics, by the way. They had another article here. I figure I tie these two articles together. Let's see, what do we got here? What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? What do we have? They got an article about the Switch 2. It says, oh, here's another one. There's two other articles here. It says here Nintendo is stocking up Switch 2 units in the U.S. despite Trump's tariff concerns. I'm gonna read all the articles I can find on the Switch here. It says here Nintendo Switch is stocking up Switch 2 units in the U.S. despite Trump's tariff concerns. It says even though there's a 90-day pause on new tariff by Donald Trump, billions and billions of dollars, man, pay up. But anyway, it says here, which was decided after market drop pressure from the big U.S. companies. Nintendo isn't taking any chances. According to Bloomberg, the company is already shipping over 750,000 units out of the upcoming Nintendo Switch 2 from Vietnam to the United States. Oh, those are gone, by the way. It says here, 1/3 of all Switch 2 consoles are made in Vietnam, making it a key location for Nintendo supply chain. It says here, if the new Trump tariff goes into full effect after 90 days windows, importers will face a massive 46% tax. Right now, there's only a 10% tax that applies to all countries, and it was also introduced under Trump to avoid this possible increase. Nintendo is moving fast. Over the next few months, it's planned to send a large portion of the Switch 2 production to the U.S. This move aimed to build up stock before any price hikes happen, at least not right now. Not right away. It says here, Hosiden ramps up production. One of the three companies that assembles the Nintendo Switch 2 is Hosiden Corp. In February alone, they shipped more units to U.S. than they had in the past 6 months combined. Custom data from NBD shows that almost all of Hosiden output since January has gone up to the U.S. compared to just 11% to 66% of production in previous years. Nintendo want to avoid raising prices too early. The Switch 2 is already expected to be pricey even without tariffs. If the tariffs stay at 10%, Nintendo may change the console price, but things are uncertain and changes could come quickly. And that's article 1 from eTechnics. Okay, here's the other one too. I'm not even done with eTechnics. I'm gonna go through all of them. Here's another one for the Switch 2. Yeah. Say what's up to eTechnics and our tweak down. But anyway, it says here, Nintendo Switch 2 Nintendo Switch 2 demands in Japan spark nationwide shortage of micro SD express cards. Yeah, that 256 gigs of storage in the Switch. That is that's not enough, man. Especially if you look at the amount of games the Switch 1 already got. What do you think is going to happen to the Switch 2? Anyway, it says here Nintendo Switch is one of the most highly anticipated product in Japan, where there's no official data yet on pre-orders for the consoles or its games. One thing is clear though, a huge number of people are planning to buy it right away. This excitement is partly driven by the low price of the Switch 2 in Japan compared to the rest of the world. One clear sign of this hype is that micro SD card express have completely disappeared from electronic stores. Both resellers who plan to sell them online at higher prices and regular customers preparing for the console arrivals are buying them up. Micro SD express selling out fast. 256 gigs. That's the picture I'm looking here. It says here, looking at here. It says here the shortage isn't limited to stores in Kayabera, Tokyo, famous tech shopping district. It's happening across all major online shopping sites in Japan. It all started after the recent Nintendo Direct, where the Switch 2 was officially shown. One of the key announcements was that the new console will support micro SD Express, which offers faster speeds for game short storage. The results, sales skyrocket. One online store, Asubik, reported that cards were selling at a rate of 5.63 per minute, which is over 330 cards per hour. Not just resellers, but everyday buyers. Interestingly, most of the buyers aren't resellers. The shop confirms that the majority of the consumers bought just one card each, likely for their own use with the new Switch 2. It's also worth noting that stores didn't have huge stocks of micro SD cards to begin with. These cards were never in high demand because of their high price, but now with so many people wanting them, production is expected to increase soon. So by the looks of it, look like they're buying the SD cards first before they buy the Switch. So when they get it, they got enough SD cards with them. Very slick. Anyway, to go with that 256 gigs of storage. Very slick. Alright, so yeah, those are the news articles on the Switch. I think there's one more here, so I can pull another one up. I think that's it. Let's see here. What's this one? Here's another one from eTechnics. I think I did this before. I don't know. But I'm just going through them. So what they got here? What else they got here? Nintendo Switch 2 power compares to PS4 and Steam Deck. Early insight reveals. Oh, this from Digital Foundry. Anyway, got a video too, so I might leave both of them. It says here, last week Nintendo finally introduced the Nintendo Switch 2, announcing its release date, price, launch game, and upcoming titles. However, there are still no specific details about the console to give a clear picture of its performance. It says here, yeah, which means that I don't think the Switch is more powerful than the Xbox One X. Still stands. But anyway, says here, says Digital Foundry, known for their tech analysis, made an estimate based on the game shown so far. They state that the Switch 2 power is comparable to a PS4, but with several hardware and technology differences that could make the Switch 2 perform better and be more up to date. In their comparison, Digital Foundry used games like Elden Ring and Final Fantasy VII Remake. Both games ran at 1080p at 30 FPS on the Switch 2, which is similar to the performance of the PS4. Other games shows similar results, with some exception like Yakuza 0, which run at 4K at 60 FPS when docked. Richard Ledbetter from Digital Foundry pointed out that the comparison with the PS4 only looks at raw power. The Nintendo Switch 2 has some special feature that could put it in better position compared to the older PlayStation console. One of the features is the NVIDIA architecture that will allow a developer to use hardware ray tracing, mesh shaders, DLSS, deep learning supersampling. This technology, which is missing from the PS4 and PS4 Pro, could lead to major improvements in performance or resolution. It says preliminary comparison with the Steam Deck. Digital Foundry also compared the Switch 2 to the Steam Deck. They found that the Switch 2 outperformed the Steam Deck in dock mode, meaning when the console is connected to a TV. However, in terms of raw power, the Steam Deck may have the upper hand when used in handheld mode. Despite this, the Switch 2 has an advanced graphics API benefits from custom development and a feature higher resolution screen. Keep in mind that these are just early opinion based on limited tests. There is still much more power. There's still much more to discover. A full understanding of the Switch 2 power will only come once the console is available. Look, the Steam Deck has docking station that can do the same thing the Switch does, or even better. So that's not even an issue. I'm still saying the Switch 2 is not more powerful than the Xbox One X. I'm just saying. But anyway, but those are the articles on the Switch and the one from Tweaktown. I will leave all of them in the description box. I will leave the Civilization video, and I will leave the Digital Foundry analysis on it. But yeah, you know, the article that I saw on I think PC Games N, they were talking about, I think it was the Outer Worlds 2, and the developers were impressed with the Xbox One X and what they were able to do. So I will put the Switch like up there with the. Is it more powerful than the Xbox One X? Remains to be seen. But I think the Xbox One, I don't think the Switch. It might beat the PS4 Slim or Pro, but that Xbox One X is no pushover, man. So yeah. But other than that, man, the Switch 2 is getting their games, that's for sure. And based on the articles that I've read, you know, people are buying their SD cards first before they get the Switch. You know, so when they get the Switch 2, they got plenty of SD cards, you know, to save their games and stuff like that. So yeah, which is pretty smart. You know, pretty smart of them. Now, can you hook an external hard drive to the Switch? Remains to be seen. You know, can you hook a, say, a 10 terabyte? Can you hook a SSD to the Switch? Remains to be seen too. There's that part too. So yeah, the Switch, they're getting their games, you know, and yeah, you know, Digital Foundry have a tendency to try to hype up the Switch, but yeah, I still say it ain't better than the Xbox One X, but that's just me talking. But anyway, but good for the Nintendo fans though. One article talks about 700,000 Switches. That's gone. 700,000 Switches. How many what? The Switch sold 100 million plus. What? From the first model? That's 700,000. That's 750,000 units. They're gone, man. It's gone. So it's gonna be on a first come first served basis. So yeah. But other than that, man, yeah, the Switch 1 right now is gonna be sitting in the closet. The Switch 2 is gonna be taking the spotlight. The new Mario Kart that they have, though, I think it's gonna be better than all the Mario Karts that's ever been made. All of them. I mean, the older models might be good. They might be good, but the newer one now is like Forza Horizon. It's open world. So yeah, yeah. Imagine that, Mario Kart. So yeah, and of course there's Final Fantasy VII Remake and Crisis, plus the games from the Switch 1. There's another article too. I think it's on eTechnics too, where Nintendo said they was gonna where is it? Oh, here you go. One more. We got one more, and we're done. And we're done. Nintendo Switch. Here's another one. It says here, Nintendo is working with third-party team to ensure Nintendo Switch 2 backwards compatibility. It says here, the backwards compatibility of the Nintendo Switch 2 seems to be a key feature of the console. However, ensuring this is not a simple task, which is why Nintendo has been working hard on this aspect. In fact, the company is also collaborating with third-party teams to ensure the proper functioning of backwards compatibility. As explained by those responsible for the console, Nintendo Switch 2 does not run games from the original Switch natively. Instead, it uses a hybrid solution that combines software emulation and hardware features to make the games compatible. This is necessary because there are no architectural similarities between the two consoles' hardware. This issue has been explained vaguely, but it's essentially evolved the application of the layer that can translate the code to a new Nintendo Switch hardware. However, this is something that needs to be thoroughly tested on a large number of games. And then it says a subtopic, a long process of testing in collaboration. It says here, in an interview with GameSpot, Tetsuya Sasaki from Nintendo explained that the testing process and resolving any issues is lengthy and requires the involvement of third-party developers and publishers. The work needs to ensure broad compatibility is significant. Yes, Nintendo has worked very hard at figuring out how to make a wide variety of games compatible with the Switch 2, Sasaki said, explaining that procedure also involves other teams. As the Nintendo Switch 2 becomes more and more complete and it enters its final form, we really realize how important it is for us to work very close together with our third-party partners, and that is how this list came about, Sasaki added, referring to the official Nintendo website where the list of compatible titles and those with issues can be found. Well, Nintendo got their hands full with the Switch 2, trying to make it make sure all their games from the original Switch work on the Switch. Games from the original Switch work on the Switch 2. So we'll see what becomes of that. But yeah, but like I said before, the Switch 2 is already sold out, and some people are already buying their SD cards express. Yeah, that's to handle all those system updates, you know. But it's still, can you hook a hard drive to it, a solid state drive to it? That's going to be another question on the table, you know. So we'll see what this system can do when they finally decide to release it and release the pre-order dates and stuff like that. So yeah, but yeah, I have to keep you guys in the loop and you know about your Switch 2. But you know, the Steam Deck 2 is going to be better than the Switch 2. I'm just saying. But other than that, man, yeah, Nintendo doing their thing, man. You know, they're getting some games, that's for sure. They're getting Elden Rings too. Yeah. You know, they already got Skyrim. I think they got Dark Souls on the Switch 1, on the Switch. So that game might be getting some updates. I think a lot of the games on the Switch 1 are going to be getting some updates. You know. That's all. Yeah. So storage will be a problem. Will be a big concern on the Switch. Storage when those updates start to march in for all those games. Yeah. But other than that, man, yeah, you Nintendo fans have fun with your Switch too. But yeah, 700,000 is already sold out, you know. Just saying. So, yeah, 2025 is going to be good for you Nintendo fans. Yeah. But I got a score to settle with you Mario Kart players across the world, you know. I'm just saying. I got a score to settle with y'all. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Nice talking to you people again. Crystal, Star Wars, Search Flag, Borg, Dark Search. I'm gone. Peace.